Hello, everybody. Welcome to Profiling Evil by Mike King. I'm here with Chris McDonough, and we are really excited about choir practice. Chris, how you doing?
Mike, it's a great day, and it's even going to get better here. We've got some wonderful friends with us tonight.
Oh, this is going to be an amazing night tonight. I am so excited about it. And Chris, would you take just 1 minute and just remind everybody what choir practice is?
Absolutely. So choir practice is a rite of passage. When you were a young police officer, you got to a place where they used to call them FTOs, which are field training officer. When your FTO said, hey, come here, kid, and you're coming to choir practice, basically you knew that you had crossed a bridge. And this is a place where everybody it's like sitting on the couch and just having an opportunity to chit chat and get to know each other and talk about war stories and capers going on around you and how we can all kind of figure out what that all means. So that's cool.
And we are going to tell a few war stories, I'm sure, before the night's out. It always happens, but it always happens. Yeah. And folks, we're going to have a giveaway tonight, so make sure you're staying tuned for that. We're going to be giving away some things. We're going to have the guys from the back office coming in to share what's going on there. We're going to have them talk a little bit about social media. We continue to push out things on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And do we have other things that we do? Do we like Twitterize other kinds of spaces or
everything?
Everything. and if you haven't subscribed, would you please consider subscribing? Hit the button down below, ring the bell so that you get notified of our shows when they're coming up. And for those of you who have expressed interest or have joined our membership program, please consider that too, folks. We love it. But Chris, look down the list of all these people that are all our friends. Let's call out a few of them as we get rolling here.
Absolutely. And we got Sarge here. We've got Janet, Lou in the UK. We've got a great show coming up about the UK. We're not going to dump it off tonight, but it's going to be a good one. We've got Halo S, Sophie H, all of our mods. We can't thank you enough. You are fantastic. You keep us organized. You keep us, keep the family happy. We're grateful for that. We MK, MMMJ, Andy, Crayons, Lisa, Tony, Maui Girl, Aloha. It's good to see you. Shaka Brada. Yeah, I used to say, chocolate broccoli instead of Shaka. And let's see, Janet, Halo West. Everybody's here, Mike. This is going to be exciting because
I don't know if you people know this.
For us. They're not here for us.
They're not here for us. and we are so thrilled with having the guests that we have. For those of you who don't know, Chris and I actually met years ago working a serial killer case. And the thing that I was most amazed with is I met Chris's colleagues in San Diego. He was working in San Diego and was in the middle of a serial killer case that I was out doing some profiles on. Is that I learned that Chris, when he does all this stuff here, he's the only white guy in an all-Polynesian band that was in San Diego. Is that right, Chris?
That's right. Cowie Brown's Polynesian Review. I was the guitar player, and in the back, there was a cast of 56 Polynesians, and I was the only white dude, and they used to call me Chemo. And I was like, hey, what's up? So anyway, I love it. I love it.
That's great.
Here I am. So.
That is great. And folks, if you haven't checked out our merchandise, please do so. We are really thrilled with the stuff that we have, and it's showing up all over. It's been really fun. So if you do have some of our merchandise, make sure you are showing it off and getting pictures taken. If you haven't got the rookie year mug, make sure you get the 2020 rookie year mug. That's a fun one. And we keep getting told that we're going to get hats rolling pretty soon here, right, Chris?
Yep.
The hats are going to roll.
And we have two ideas, right, Mike? What's one of the ideas? Where's Ty, Sky, and Tim on the back.
Yeah, we got to know. People keep asking where the back office is, and so we thought the back of the hat might be good to put where they are.
So
and yeah, we're looking forward to that. Well, you know what? Let's get rolling, Chris, because
let's bring them on, the celebrity.
Yeah, let's bring them on, folks. We are so thrilled to have Vanessa from Unmasked, True Crime Syndicate. Vanessa, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing really well, and we're so sorry. We were worried about how many people, so please make sure Teresa knows we watch you. We love watching you, and we're sorry she couldn't join you tonight. And folks, we hope that you're subscribing. We assume you are because they have just a crazy following. But please make sure you're spending time on their channel as well.
Yep. Get over there.
And then we're so glad to have back our dear friend Linda from It's a Crime. And we want you all to start typing in. If you are only here because of those two, we certainly understand. We hope you get converted and roll over. But holy cow, how lucky we are to have you both. But Linda, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? Nice to see you and everybody in there.
It's good to have you girls here today. I mean, what's the right way of introducing today? I mean, help me out here.
Two amazing YouTube creators.
Creators, right?
Exactly.
Just want to make sure that I'm doing everything right. Good to see you.
And there are so many questions coming in about your personal lives and background, and we're not going to answer one of them. We'll let them go over to your channels and ask you all those questions so that you can decide what you want to share. Chris and I aren't very smart. We share way too much about ourselves, and so anyway. But you know what? Tell us what you can about yourself first, Linda, that you want everyone to know, and why you decided to jump into this wacky world of YouTube channel.
Oh, wow. I think there's many reasons. One of the things that I was interested in at a very, very young age is to become a lawyer. I actually had planned on going to law school. Becoming a prosecutor was my interest. And then life happened. I had kids, and it didn't happen. And so fast forward, I'm actually go back a little bit. I've always been about justice and truth, and really stick up for the underdog. And then 2 years ago, it's almost a year already. So a year ago, I decided to put up a video. I had been following the Heidi Broussard case. It really struck me. I kept thinking about it. And then I just hit record and thought, okay, well, wherever this is going to take me, it's going to take me. I just got to get this off and going. And then here I am. So it's kind of been full circle. I've done some different things throughout my life, and then, back here. And now I just love it. And I love everything about the true crime community and everybody banding together. And I don't know, it's just really fun. That's pretty much me in a nutshell. And I just after the truth, and I don't stop.
Awesome.
No, you don't stop. In fact,
No.
It's so fun to watch you. Vanessa, what caused you to start this channel, and what have been some of the things you've learned along the way?
Oh, well, I've liked true crime since I was little. And kind of my story is a little bit similar to Linda's, except I guess instead of wanting to be an attorney, I wanted to be Clarice Starling when Silence of the Lambs came out, and that's true. That did it for me, but I didn't. And life, like she said, life happens. And then I actually worked in insurance, but I did investigations on that side. And then I just hit an age where I wanted to do what I was passionate about and not what I had to do. So I just jumped in and started a channel, and it is so much work, as you guys know.
Yeah.
Pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but I love it. I've never loved anything I've done more. So it was a great decision.
Interesting.
I think.
What motivates both of you in the morning? We'll start with Vanessa. What motivates you when you see a caper and you dive into it? What is it that pulls you to that case?
For me, I think I'm so passionate about the victims and their families. I did not expect when we started this that so many families would reach out. And I'm kind of overwhelmed by that. And so if I can use the platform to tell their loved ones' stories, then that's what I want to do. And I'm doing one right now. I'm just starting on it for Taylor McAllister out of Florida. And they contacted us, and I've got plenty of people behind them. So just kind of being their platform to tell their story.
Cool. Linda?
And Vanessa, you do it really, really, really well.
Yeah, you really do.
And I love your voice. I was watching some of your stuff. So, and yeah, you do a great job telling a story for sure.
Thank you.
So, Linda, what has you grab a case?
You know, when I read about the cases, something strikes me and I just know to go for it. I'm like Vanessa in ways. I think it's very, very important to tell the story, but also find the truth. And one of the things that I said right from the get-go, I will never talk or say their name, just their last name, kind of like how the news says their last name. Mm-hmm. For me, that really bothers me. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but to me, it's like, I'm not going to call Suzanne Morphew or Tylee and JJ. So that to me was very important. And then when I look at the case, I read about it. There's something doesn't jive, something strikes my fancy, and I just know, yeah, this has to be told. And away we go. And I'm working on one right now that actually is a Canadian case. And it could be a string of things that are all connected. And I think that's a really good thing to look at. And I'm going to start, the first one's going to be out this week. And then I'm going to start diving into that. So yeah, it's just something that taps me at the shoulder and leads me to the next case. That's
cool. Mike?
That's amazing. No, I want to just carry this theme a little bit further because we've had some interesting discussions internally at Profiling Evil about what cases do we pick up, what do we not. Once we introduced the evidence room earlier this year, we have had so many invitations to look at cases that are really compelling. And I would suspect, like you, it's really tough to figure out which one am I going to spotlight. And with only a narrow amount of time that we each have each week to speak to people, it's how do you continue to keep a snowball building on some and yet start to introduce others. And it's really hard when you have, these amazing people like Suzanne Morphew that you want to just follow every single minute of every day. But then you have a Kelly Brannon who pops in, Vanessa, and we're going to talk about that in a moment with you. Or you have the Daybell children or Delphi, it goes on and on and on. And so as we get ready to segue and talk a little bit about that, I want to just take a minute and thank these amazing people. Sonny Austin, thanks for that very kind donation. And Sergeant Melinda Leffler, thank you for your donation and help. To all of you that put in super chats and everything else, that's really appreciated. We really do appreciate it. I want to take a minute, and we're giving away some stuff tonight. So I'd like to just bring Tim from the back office in and have him talk a little bit. And Vanessa, you'll get to meet Tim. I think you have before, Linda. But anyway, we'll have Tim tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Hello.
There he is.
Wow, I get top row treatment today.
There we go. There we go.
Well, this is exciting for us. Giveaways are something that Mike and Chris have allowed us at the back office to do to really interact with the viewers here, to kind of their way to reach out to those of you who are viewing and get to know you a little better with the giveaway. Anyway, we're going to throw the URL in the chat, so keep an eye out for that. And what you'll do is just enter your email address, first name and last name. There's a little checkbox to ask if you're a subscriber. That's just optional. We just want to know if you're subscribing to the content or not. And then on the next page, there's a way to earn extra entries. So be sure to fill those out. If you have any friends or family that aren't part of the channel or subscribing to Profiling Evil. Make sure to share with them, and you can get extra entries that way as well. So thank you, Mike and Chris, for letting us give away some of your swag. I think it's fun for everybody. So we'll keep throwing that link in the chat throughout the night. So keep an eye out for that.
That's awesome. Thanks, Tim. Well, Linda, let's just go to you real quick. What is it that drives you, or how do you choose what you're going to select for content?
Again, it's just, I wanted to actually back up. I'm going to tie this with what you just said earlier about how it's hard to choose. I think for me, when I'm looking at a case and I'm diving into it, it's hard for me to leave it until, until I'm really satisfied with how much work we're getting and putting out. The case is not closed. The person hasn't been caught. The murder charges hasn't been done. And so bringing on a case too, there's a fine balance. Again, like all of us, people come and reach out. I just had somebody reach out about the Dior Kuntz case, and I reviewed that, and there's some crazy things about that as well. So it just really, I don't know, part intuitive, part let's take a look at it, part I want to help and I hate to say no to anybody, and I don't really have an exact science or art to what I'm going to cover. It's just I bring something on, but I got to be careful not to bring too much on, because I still feel like I have a responsibility to keep with the other stuff, if that makes sense. Like, keep it going, put it out there until it's done.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's a tough decision.
It is. And it's a lot of work. Like Vanessa even said, and you guys know, it's just a lot of work. And so even just the research aspect to bring a new case in, to get the facts, to make sure the timeline and all this, and make sure we're doing it in such a way that is understandable, but also, covers the whole story. It's crazy. So it could be hours or days, as to take a look at it. So yeah, it's no science art. It's kind of both.
Vanessa, what's your take on that? How do you dovetail into that?
I totally agree with Linda. I think that we all struggle with the same thing. I'm still struggling with that. I try to keep a schedule, and then I spend too much time researching a case and I get off that schedule, and then I feel bad. And then just like you guys were saying, I want every detail of every case. So if I have to step away from Kelly, I feel guilty, and I get into Suzanne for a while, and then I'm trying to write a new. So it's a hard balance. It really is. I'm still trying to figure it out, actually, myself.
So am I.
But I think maybe the more we go, it'll kind of work itself out. But that's definitely a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Appreciate that you sharing. Mike?
Well, we have been working a little bit on Kelly Brannon's case, and as you have, we have created what we call as a story map, and I've got that up on the screen. And folks down below, you'll be able to capture the link to go to these story maps where you can learn. As you go through the map itself, you'll see a lot of things about like who is Kelly, and Chris and I talk a lot about victimology, this study of who is the victim. And, we constantly are reflecting on the fact that in these whodunits, the first question we all want to ask and answer is who was the suspect and who's the person responsible. And Chris and I, after, 70 years of investigative experience, kind of have a little different take on that. It's more important to understand who is the victim. And once we begin to really understand who this victim is, we can then start to understand why they become victimized and what it is about their lifestyle and others. So as people jump onto this, they're going to be able to go in and explore different things. They'll be able to explore the locations on the map where things were occurring, and they'll be able to go through and see people that are associated with it. But what I wanted to really do for a moment before we ask Vanessa some questions is talk about something that we felt compelled to do, and that was to join a search this weekend. So I'd like Chris to maybe take a couple of minutes and share some of his thoughts and experiences, and I'll let this map just kind of play for a minute as he talks. I may go and look at some different things as we go through it.
Yeah, and as we go along, you guys jump in here, okay? Because if you have other insight, thoughts, ideas. And I know, Vanessa, you, like Mike said, you've put a tremendous amount of time in this. And I know, Linda, I know how your mind works because, we've watched you and learned from you and a lot of different things. So, so this is obviously, I describe Kelly as kind of a 60s, just kind of go to it gal. I mean, she's right there. She'll tell you how it is. She's just that girl that you don't want to mess around. And so this is the hotel. This is the backside of the hotel, the Sunshine Inn. We did a little, video drone footage here. That other place over there, this is, that's the Sunshine Inn there. That was Pepe's. But right there is the Sunshine Inn. And then on the other side is the Live Oak. And when I pulled into the Live Oak, Mike, I mean, remember I was laughing. I really felt like, I was pulling into, D Block at your local, community center, right? And, there's parolees, there's all, you name it. It's the no-tell motel is what we used to call it. And this place right here is run by a very, very nice, husband and wife. You can tell they bought the business not knowing, what the clientele was as a whole. So as you come around the front side here, room number 70 is going to be at the top. So the story is that Kelly and her boyfriend are staying in this place. There's some conflicts as to who checks in. Room number 70 is the room that is rented. They end up getting there because their car breaks down, the truck breaks down. It's at a repair shop up the street called Reese's. And
maybe this would be a great place for Vanessa to give us an idea of what happened, what transpired during that time that they were there. Vanessa, could you do that?
Well, that's a great question. I guess from what we've gathered, they, like you said, they had car trouble. They had both of their vehicles because they packed both vehicles up to move from Florida to Michigan. He had car trouble, so they stopped in Live Oak and stayed at the Sunshine Inn. And I mean, the events of the night are basically that they were fighting. They were bickering most of the night, if you look at the text messages and stuff like that. And there was a fight. Kelly was outside in her vehicle, and there's this voicemail that happens at 12:59 a.m. and we have it on our channel. I don't know if you guys have it up as well. It's, I guess, a pretty important voicemail because it's her and she's angry. And then at the end, she says, "I'm getting in a car." And that's at 12:59 a.m. We interviewed Eddie in September. He says he went to sleep at 12:45 a.m. And then no one ever hears from Kelly again. That's it. That voicemail was the last trace of her.
Yeah.
So.
So
and
Chris,
that's the initial reports, right? That's
yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
No. So you end up last weekend. They indicated they were going to do a search, and you decided to pack up the truck and head south.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of people that love this girl, and there's a whole bunch of people that have been drawn to her. And one of the things that Mike and I like to do is, homicide 101 or death investigation 101. You got to feel it. You got to smell it. You got to know it. You got to understand it. And once you get into that environment, then you're able to understand, what the victim was seeing, what the victim was feeling, what the victim was smelling. What did it feel like? What did it smell like? To release, chickens into the back of the hotel. What did it feel like to walk up to the manager's window and to pay for the room? What does room number 70 look like? What does room the 50 series on the bottom? What do those feel like? What do they sense? So I got down there. Mike said, "Hey, take a shot." We went down there, and the search was organized. This case has been going on for like 4 months. And Vanessa, you have done a tremendous amount of work on this case, and I commend you, and I can't wait to see some of the cool things, that are even going to come out of this, because I think what's happening, with her friends and other groups, there are various different groups. that have been throwing in information about this, and including Eddie himself, right, the boyfriend.
Yes.
Okay, and so we went down there, got a feel for it, and they had some geographic regions that they wanted us to check. So I was able to go with some of these folks and a gal who had a cadaver dog. We checked some of those things, and we met with them and got a feel for even who her friends are. Right? I mean, I love some of the guys, some of the folks here. I want to be sensitive to names and that kind of thing, but this is where Kelly was crashing at times. This how one of these guys and another guy, and then there's a farm and a variety of different places. So these people really care about her, and so they organized this get together here, and that's Marvo. He's a pretty cool dude. This is a homeless guy that allegedly had some information that was hanging around the outside. I'm not really sure, where he was this very moment that I was talking to him. He looked like he was in a different, atmosphere for that moment. So I was able to step back and say, you know what, let's go to the next one. So this is behind Reese's. There was a salvage yard back there. So we took the cadaver dog back there, ran it back, checked all the cars just to make sure, we're checking some of the boxes. And then we were able to push back a little bit more into Mary's Lake, up around the path of Live Oak Park, over the fence. This is one of the search and rescue folks, but we want to blur that out, by the way. Sorry, but we're good. This is interesting technology. Mike, explain what we got here.
Yeah, well, in fact, let me just, why don't you talk for just 1 second, and I'll pull it up real quickly, and that might make it easier.
So we have some technology that we use that can actually do a linear path on every place people walked and every place people checked. And if they saw something, they were able to take a picture of it, and we'll give a longitude, latitude. So Mike, explain what this is.
So what we did here, you may have seen this when we did the Suzanne Morphew search, but we empowered everybody that was out searching that day with the ability to collect information on their mobile device, to have their tracks recorded. So every footstep that they made, we were recording that. So you can see this area here where everyone was organizing at first. There were a lot of tracks, obviously, but then as they moved down near Reese's Auto and the area around there, we're able to see all the places in which they searched. We can look at this, in a number of different ways. Sometimes it's easier to see a little image back there, but and we can see in the area that we're looking at how many miles were covered by people in that time, which we think is really significant, even if it only is a message that goes back to family members, that people are really putting forth a lot of effort to try to help and find this woman. And then, of course, Chris, I don't know if you want to talk about this area over here, but we also searched an area to the west where there was an extensive amount of work that took place.
Yeah. So Vanessa, I want to bring you in here because you know this case, extensively. And by the way, we can make that app available. Am I right, Mike? If you have some teams that you guys are working on your individual channels, if you're working with people and you would like to map out to add to that searching, okay, by all means, Mike and I, let's talk, behind the scenes here. And because the goal here is to get that territory covered. Okay. And folks can turn it on and turn it off. And you can see here, these are hot spots just in a Saturday, just in a 4-hour period where we were able to send people in a geographic region. And these hot spots that Mike's got up here show the amount of time spent and the density inside of that, mapping here. But that one path over here, see to the far right, that's Live Oak. Okay? You'll see that one area, the far right, or the, Mike, can you zoom into that? Yeah, right there. Okay. One of the dogs kept going back to that path over and over again. Okay. So we thought that was an interesting area. Go ahead, Mike. What were you going to say? Or
it wasn't me, maybe Linda or Vanessa.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
what do you think?
that app would be great. We have a Facebook group for Kelly, and I have a team of admins that basically works, every single day, 24/7 on this case. They're amazing.
Yep.
And they're messaging me right now. The app would be great. So that would be great. And I did want to ask you, because I watched some of that on Saturday, what did you think after being down there and meeting everyone and, walking around?
I think we're going to find Kelly. And how that comes together is still in motion.
Yeah.
And we'll see where it goes. But I think collectively together, we'll find her. But, one of the things that I was talking to people, and Mike and I always do this, okay, even though this is a true crime community, okay, in terms of YouTube and stuff, okay, this is serious stuff. Okay, right. And I think all of us on this, in this, podcast, even tonight, recognize how serious this is. Because, if somebody didn't do something, we have an obligation to say, hey, what we're doing says he didn't do it. Okay. But if somebody did do something, then the other side of that coin is, holy cow, this person could lose their liberty, and we don't want to be responsible for that. I don't.
That's right. Yeah. And I think back, Linda, we've had this discussion before where we've talked about the challenge you and we and other YouTube creators have in that fine line between trying to continue to keep someone in the spotlight and not taking it too far. How have you handled that, and where have you seen areas where you've been able to pass information on? Maybe don't share what you've passed on, but how you've been able to pass on information, acknowledging this kind of fine line we walk.
It's really hard. It's really hard because when you first start looking at a case, and from my point of view, I'm as neutral as possible in the beginning. I dive and dive and dive and dive and dive and dig and dig. And sometimes it's hard for me to be quiet on my opinions. Now, have I taken it too far sometimes? Yeah, I can agree with that. Not extremely, but yeah, I get to a point where I'm sick and tired of seeing what these things that I'm seeing. So it's hard, right? It really is, because you pour hours, like Lori Vallow, I've done 76 videos. Well, even if they're only half an hour long, that's 150, whatever, right? Or an hour long. There's 75 videos that are an hour, 75 hours, right? That's not, though. It's hundreds of hours. And when you start to get to know the person, the people, the victims, and then you start seeing what isn't happening, what is happening. For me, I get fed up. So I get to a point, and it is a fine line. Sometimes you'll see me go quiet for a few days. I stand back, I reflect, I stay away, I come back, I'm centered. It's hard. It really is hard.
It is so difficult. And we have, and Karen, thank you for that kind donation. We have had these discussions, Linda, where emotions have been raw about the way in which you feel about these people that you've never met, but you come to know when you do that much research into a person's victimology, you really come to know who they are. Vanessa, how do you empower your listeners to not step over the line, but to provide information, first and foremost, if it's important to police, and then in a way that we can, in this true crime community, continue to shed ideas and maybe fly up a banner once in a while?
Well, it's funny. I actually brought this exact point up to Tyler. I think it was on Saturday, as something that I get a question I get a lot that I wanted to pose to you guys. We do get a lot of tips. We get a lot of information, and I'm sure Linda would agree. I wasn't even ready for the type of information and stuff. I think people are more comfortable sometimes coming to us than maybe law enforcement. And we get all kinds of information. It's stressful. Sometimes the information that I get and I'm sitting on and, or a sub or someone on Facebook will bring to me. And I know there's kind of this stigma still with social media, and law enforcement doesn't seem to sometimes be very receptive to the information we have, even though sometimes it's really good information. So I was actually brought that up on Saturday. What do you think is the best way to organize the information and approach law enforcement? Because we actually struggle with that. I've reached out a couple of times with really good info on, a couple big cases and no response. And then we sit there with it and it stresses me out and I can't sleep and things like that.
Yeah, Chris, I don't know your thought on this, but we have expressed similar concerns, Vanessa, where law enforcement, I think, is going through an evolution right now, where they are figuring out how to take advantage of what we continue to call public CSI, or public crowdsourced intelligence. And it's going to be an evolution. It's going to take time. Some areas may be more quick to adapt and to adopt that information. In our opinion, an agency that's not putting a social media campaign together, not something to send out a Twitter feed to say, hey, we delivered ice cream to the Boys and Girls Club, but a social media campaign that allows them to dig in and get intelligence from the community. We think they're missing a boat. We have talked on our channel, and we would ask you, it's a forum we think is working, and we are not holders of information. We'll share anything with you guys that you would like, but we put together this evidence room page. Chris, can you talk a little bit about the evidence room?
Yeah, so the evidence room addressed, what we're all talking about here. Essentially, it's a conduit, it's a channel, okay, that it basically, you kind of look at like a funnel, okay, and people get an opportunity to go in there and put information that is direct and clear and concise, about a case. And one of the things, like Mike's talking about, that there's this evolution taking place, but simultaneously, in an investigation, and I can tell you, and Mike, we can all on this, all four of us can tell you, okay, can tell people now what it feels like, okay, when that call out happens, okay, literally they've done studies on approximately the first hour and a half to 2 hours. When you get on scene, okay, you are making close to 1,500 decisions rapidly, okay? And guess what? You can't make a mistake. Okay? You don't get a chance to make a mistake, okay? So what happens is investigators get into this mode that says, okay, here we go, okay, shut it down, okay? Meaning they get a clarity of focus. And I always call that compressing the investigation, okay? Because I can tell you, when, in just my own personal experience, when I've walked out of crime scenes and I had 11 satellite trucks, okay? Being in Southern California, we had all of that media market. And there's nothing like walking out and getting into the circle and then everybody saying, what do we have? And you look up and say, nothing, okay? Meaning no evidence at that point. So what we've done here is we've given people an opportunity to go to this page, put the information in, and then your team behind the scenes can kind of, look through it and go, you know what, this one, just doesn't fit. This one's like wackadoodle or whatever the deal is, okay? And then you can streamline that and say, okay, you know what, maybe this is information we can look a little bit harder at, see if we can validate it. And if it is, let's immediately push it to a law enforcement. Or if it's information that is so obvious, just send it on, get out of it, just step away and let them do their thing. That's helped. That's helped us, right, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. And we watch what you're doing, and we think that together as a community, we can maybe help law enforcement evolve. And along the way, do what we really all have intended to do, and that is to shed a light on these people that are missing or these homicides that are unsolved, and hopefully from time to time, maybe even leave something behind that at least empowers a family or makes them realize that everything's being done that can be done, and maybe we'll be lucky enough to solve a case. We have talked, Linda, before about the fact, like for Chris and me, we really enjoy the YouTube experience, but we're still cops at heart. We only care about one thing, and that's solving crimes. I don't think it's any different for you, is it?
No, I'm very similar that way. You guys know me that way. It's very similar. I think one of the things that you're just touching on about the evidence room, I think this is going to bridge the gap. I feel like those who are hesitant to talk to the authorities in a case, I feel like this is a way to bridge the gap. So there's a line between coming forward and not coming forward. And I feel like here's the middle. People are safe in whoever they feel like maybe they're watching, they come and give me information, you information, whatever, and then we take it and bring it to the authorities. I have zero problems with that, to bring that in, pertinent information. But I feel like that for some people, whether it's me or Vanessa or you guys or however that works, they feel a comfort that's like, listen, I'm going to give it to you, and then you take it to, and then do it. And I really do feel like this is bridging the gap with what's happening. And the evidence room is awesome. And yeah, I just see it. I really see it. People have reached out to me, even people involved in a case that, there's suspicions about a person or whatever has come to me. I just feel like it's going to bridge the gap. I keep saying that, but I really, really see it. I really do. And I think this is going to be the future of how things are going to go. And I think no one can be ignorant to the fact that there's this community, and people are brilliant in the true crime community, whether they're on camera or not. Brilliant.
Yeah, I totally agree. Vanessa, what's your input? What do you think?
No, I totally agree with Linda. And actually, that's one of the reasons I got so excited about your channel when I started watching you. And I know I've said this in a video, you've probably seen me, but I thought a channel like yours has been what's been missing, because you do have, all of us that research the cases, that we have a big, audience and things like that, a platform, but then we get kind of stuck on the technical stuff, the forensic stuff, or, where, like Linda was saying, bridging the gap between us and law enforcement. So it's a very unique kind of platform. And that's one of the reasons I got really hooked on your channel to begin with, actually.
Well, we're honored.
Yeah,
and we're hooked up. We're hooked on your guys' channel. So Mike and I are like, what are they? I love these girls. This is awesome. Good stuff. Well, so one other thing, or just a quick pass through, so you see. Okay, when you see something, you just know. Okay, you just know. I know that everybody here gets that, right? That's the kind of thing where you just kind of send it. Okay, just like you said, Lynn, just let it go. Okay, I mean, we sent some stuff to CBI, during some other things that we'll talk about later. But at the same time, Mike and I looked at each other and said, okay, that was the right thing to do. Just let it go. And by the way, this is the second part of that right here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it doesn't compromise the investigation. That's the other piece. There's nothing worse than seeing something out and you go, holy cow. Okay, strategically it has to be worked that way. But I hope that helps. We're grateful and we appreciate your kindness.
Yeah, did it help, Vanessa, with that question?
Yeah, it did. And I know that people have been using the evidence room, and that came into handy a lot with Suzanne's case. And so I think that, yeah, and like Linda said, I'm willing to take information, and we learn to be quiet. And I know this sounds terrible, but not really trust anyone after a while, you know what I mean, as far as with information. And we do have to be quiet and kind of decide what's the most important and what's not. So I think that helps.
Yeah. Because I think, to Mike's point, Mike, I think what we're experiencing in the last 4 or 5 months, this evolution and really getting into this in times of, kind of thinking through this, this is the first time, people are really trying to solve crimes. They're not interested in just learning about crimes. They're trying to solve crimes. Okay. And that's a different swing that I think law enforcement's ever seen. I mean, thoughts, Michael?
No, I think you're absolutely right. And one of the things we want to do, I want to ask you and Vanessa to kind of talk a little bit more about Kelly Brannon for a moment, and then we'll move on to someone else. But at the end of this segment, we hope to give you that are listening an assignment. And sometimes that assignment evolves. But one of the things we've tried to do is ask you to come out and provide some information. Chris, you spend a great deal of time with some people that are putting their boots on the ground in Kelly's behalf. Vanessa, you are aware of, and we are becoming aware of, this huge network behind the scenes of people who are trying to also help. What can you tell us about what's going on there, and without revealing anything about it, because that's the beauty of this, is that we don't reveal the makeup. Just talk about these amazing people that are behind the scenes crunching things.
Vanessa.
Well, that's the whole thing. I was about to say, well, I can't tell you about it. No, but no, I'm so impressed with just even my admin team, and then not just my admin team. I mean, they're amazing, but the people that have come forward to help across the board. She has a lot of people that love her, and there's a lot of really smart, really dedicated people that, care about Kelly and want to get to the answers. And I'm actually very impressed with the work that's been put into it, and they're working hard. And I hope that something comes out of it, because I know that her friends obviously are highly emotional about it and want her home. So I hope.
One thing we're going to ask tonight is that, again, both Linda and Vanessa and all of our YouTube creator friends out there, Duty Ron, Plunder, and others, let's just invest at least one more show in bringing to light who this amazing person is. I listen to her music, and you know what? It's not for me, but I am so captivated.
Yeah, but she played with one string. She played with one string. She was proud that she could do the E string. Okay. And her music is it's awesome. She's grunge.
Yeah, you really do grow to really understand who these people are. And so, Vanessa, Linda, would you please consider that putting at least one more show into who is Kelly Brannon?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and the people behind the scenes, to just kind of dovetail on what Vanessa was saying, and I know Linda, her mind's now going 150,000 miles an hour, and I can't wait to see some of the stuff that's going to come out. And how cool will this be, though? I mean, think about this. How cool will this be if there's crowdsourced intelligence? Okay. This community is able, and these good people are able, with your guidance, our guidance, and others, okay, bring answers to this story. Mike and I, we said in the very beginning when we started this channel, investigators don't solve crimes. Citizens solve crimes. Okay. And what investigators do is they assemble those pieces of the puzzle. And we had the luxury of getting in the interview room with that puzzle. Okay. And then kind of moving the puzzle as the subject moved it. Right. And we knew what that puzzle was. Okay. So then you could kind of move the investigation or the interview forward. But if we can give law enforcement a puzzle with maybe a couple of pieces that they may have, okay, can you imagine how cool that will be? That, a true crime community came forward, presented evidence that is admissible in a court of law, and somebody was taken, and justice was done, and family gets peace, and they get to move on. Okay, I'm telling you, there's no greater calling and noble opportunity than to have that opportunity in your life to do that. So you guys are awesome, and we just think it's great. We think it's great with everybody behind you too. Michael?
Let's take a minute and just remind everybody what we're doing. This is choir practice. For those of you who have never attended choir practice before, choir practice is a spin-off from the 1960s, shows how old we're getting. And it's something that law enforcement called the end of the shift briefing, where they got together. A lot of people self-medicated and drank during that time, but it was a time where cops got together and they talked about the things that happened on the shift, the things that were troubling to them, and they kind of worked through all these things. So when we put Profiling Evil together, we thought, what better thing than Monday night being choir practice? So to Linda of It's a Crime and Vanessa of Unmasked, we are so grateful that you joined us for your first, Linda's second choir practice. You are now whatever that wanding is that makes you special. You're now authorized to attend any choir practice you want. And we're so excited to have you with us. I want to just shout out to Sunny Austin. Thank you so much. She says, I hate injustices, as I think we all would agree. And the fact that families are torn apart. This is probably a great segue to move from, we've been talking about Kelly Brannon, who disappeared almost
July 15th.
4 months and 1 day ago now. Vanessa from Unmasked has been following this case from early on. We have had boots on the ground. Chris was with many of the friends and those loved ones who wanted to search for Kelly last weekend in Live Oak, Florida. And we've been talking about what happened in that search. And now I want to kind of just shift with this idea that families are deeply impacted, and it gives us, to Sunny's point, a chance to also help families know that we haven't forgotten who they are. And one of the examples that became so dear to Chris and me was the Suzanne Morphew case, and the opportunity that we had to become very close. In fact, to even have family members reaching out to us the morning that Jean died to let us know and to pass on to everyone how grateful they were for this true crime community that jumped in to help them. But Linda, I know you have spent a lot of time looking at Suzanne, and you made a beautiful plea last weekend. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about who Suzanne Morphew is? And while you do that, if you don't mind, I'm going to just pop up and remind people that we also have a story map for Suzanne that lays out that case and information related to that.
Well, what I can see, what we all can see, Suzanne, a mother, a wife, a family member, everyone loved her. She's just light. And I saw on your guys's, at the end of the video, I think it was last week, it was before, right before Jean passed away, you could see the tail end of what she, her movement of pieces of video. When I saw that, I was just so taken aback. You see them in action, right? And she's just beautiful. Everybody loves her. Look at the world following and seeing, where is she? You have strangers all over the world trying to help. And I just see it as, she's just this kind, beautiful woman. And I'm not saying beautiful as in beautiful outside. Yes, she's beautiful outside, but just full of love. And you could just see it in these short little clips. You could see the love. You could see she's a mom. You could see she's fun, playful and all these. So that's what I can see of Suzanne and what I know from people talking about her. But I keep thinking she just needs to be found. It's winter. It's much like Canada. in its train. And that's all I think about when it comes to her. So she just has to come home, and she has to come home soon. And like you had Gene on, and he passed away. And when I reviewed it again, because I watched the first time, and then you had that little clip at the end, and it really got to me. She never got to say goodbye or hug him or love him the last 6 months that she was gone. And a lot of comments on my videos like, well, now he can be with her, and she didn't come home, so sorry, he can go home to her now. So yeah, it's heartbreaking. And I just think about Christmas and not having, she not being there with her girls and family and all that. So I always talk about, for the families not knowing where their loved ones are, I call it hell. It's limbo. It's limbo. You don't know where they are. You don't know what happened. And so some people, when their family members come home, and at least they get an answer, whether it's not a positive one, but at least they have an answer, and they're not in hell anymore. It's a different kind of hell, so.
I mean, Chris, this isn't about clickbait. I'm just listening and watching Linda's emotions there.
Look at the picture behind her. Look at the picture over her right shoulder.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I saw, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're fine.
When I heard about Gene on Tuesday that morning, I just sat down, and this brings back to me having enough. I've had enough of the behavior and what's going on. And so I saw that, and I sat down, and I just wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote. And I thought, I'm going to put this out. I'm going to put this out. And I ended up doing that clip to whoever's responsible. And I did it as a separate clip because I didn't want it lost at the end of a video, because, sometimes not everybody watches the end. But I just had enough. And I thought to myself, it's almost Christmas. People are without her. She's without her family. And I come from a place of, instead of anger that day, I just took a step back, because sometimes, I push the envelope a little bit. Everybody knows that. They're like, yeah, Linda. But, because sometimes I get a little bit feisty. But I just sat, and I took a step back. I looked from the lens of love, what that would look like. And that's what I had to say. And some people are like, this person isn't going to listen to this video because, they don't have a conscience and whatever. And I disagree. Because the behavior of anybody, from what I see, there is a conscience there. And it wasn't just made for the person responsible. It was also made for the people who can't, or feel like they can't come forward, because maybe they're listening, and maybe they feel like they can come to me, or they can come to you, or they can come to, Vanessa, who's covered it. And they can say, hey, you know what? I'm not quite there yet to say something, but I just want to share this with you.
Mm-hmm. Vanessa, what do you think? Where you're in Colorado? Tell us where you're at.
Yeah, and Linda, I do want to say, I watched, like I was saying before we started, I watched that video last night, and it was really good. It was very powerful. So I loved it.
What's your thoughts on Suzanne and this whole caper?
Well, I've been following it since the beginning. I know I haven't, haven't been able to do, as closely as you have, but a few days before you guys did your search, I did do the trek. I have a video. I don't know if you guys would have had time to see it, because it was immediately before you went there. But I started the trek from Broomfield, because I'm up in North Denver, towards Frederick, and drove down to Salida and went to all the different spots. Met a friend down there, went to the different spots, and I don't know, it was eerie to walk around there and see the spots and see, where she was, and the place by the river. I don't know. I thought for sure that something would come out of the search, and what you guys did was amazing. I watched all of that and followed that, daily. So thank you. But it was, I don't know. I can't imagine being, and I'm like Linda, I think about the girls. I can't imagine what they're going through. I know that I lost my mom around that age, and so I do put myself in their shoes. And if you add the public scrutiny and the social media to also not having their mom, I think that must be horrible for them. I hope that she's found. I don't understand how she could just vanish into thin air, but yeah, I'm hoping.
How are your followers responding? I know, with Linda's and stuff, everybody seems to engage, but how are your followers responding in terms of, the whole situation? What's your read on that?
Well, I think that's one of those cases, and you get those cases where people get very, very emotional about it. And that's one of those cases. People always want to know about the status of Suzanne's case. People will always follow it. And they're very emotional about it, as you see, I'm sure, in the groups and on the comments on videos. But I thought it was important to go down there myself and see it. And I don't know, you can see how much joy Suzanne brought to people and what a light she was.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it's interesting. My wife said, my sweet wife said that's me. That's what I mean. You know what I mean? She really connected with Suzanne, and it's been interesting. I mean, did you get that too, Linda, from your followers and stuff? I mean, that, there's just some people that people just connect to right away.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think
constantly and consistently.
Yeah. Okay. Why is that? Do you think, in your experiences with you two gals? Why do you think that is?
I think, well, a lot of people are connecting with her on the level of being a mother, a wife, a family member. They just connect that way. And then they see her heart. They see people talking about her. They see her brother just, pleading, I just want my little sister home. And the daughters, like Vanessa said, it's just heartbreaking all around. And people really, especially with my viewers, they just really want to see the whole way through, and they want her to come home. It's the same thing, and we won't stop. Like I said on my video the other day, we won't stop, and it's true. We won't. None of us.
I know that, Mike.
Yeah. I've mentioned before, and I think we all have a great deal of love and respect for Paula over at Plunder. I like how Paula always makes sure she interjects something from the Bible. But Chris and I have also felt really strongly that as long as this true crime community that we all have an opportunity to work with, pray to whatever God it is that they believe in individually, that the powers of goodness will overtake the powers of evil that were used in taking this good woman. And I don't believe for a moment that there was some accident somewhere, that she was killed. She didn't crash on her bicycle or be consumed by a mountain lion. And we've chatted about that. But the one thing that we can do when we're in our private confines is plead to heavens above that the police officers are being directed, that they stay motivated, that if there are things that sometimes seem just too hard, that they might just try a little bit harder, and above all, that consciences will be impacted and people will come forward, because there are people out there who know things about this case. And we just need to continue to hope that goodness will eventually win over evil.
So I have an idea. I just want to pitch it out here. Okay, I have an idea. Just a thought. All right, let's collaborate again, okay, on both what we now know, okay, in the last couple of months, okay, and we're going to do a red flag segment again, okay? So you guys go back to your viewers and your channel, okay? But let's do this on two cases, Let's do this on Kelly Brannon. Okay, gives you some time, Linda, to get your team together and dive. And of course, Vanessa, I can only imagine what you're going to bring to the table. But let's take that process, and like we did in the very beginning, with Suzanne's case. But now let's revisit it, and let's do another red flag segment, and that way everybody can kind of be on the same page, that we may be seeing the same things. What are your thoughts on that? You guys okay with that?
That's great.
You with that? Mike, you okay with that?
Sure. Yeah. I go along with almost everything you say.
Yeah. So the dynamics of us, if you haven't figured out, there's a yin and the yang, right? So he calls me the racehorse, kind of I'm out in the field, and somebody sent me a meme today of me driving with Mike in the passenger seat I was in the baby seat screaming, yeah, right. And Mike's driving, and I'm like, and they go, this is you guys. I said, that's correct. That is correct. Okay. And,
all right.
See there?
You creeped out a little bit. So what I want to do is give an assignment to the 1,400 people that are watching right now. If you have questions for Linda or Vanessa, why don't you please put those in, and we'll try to answer those. And of course, as always, super chats help move it to the top, but we will make sure that we're going through those and hopefully you'll answer them. And then you can always go like this if it's a question you don't want to answer, and we just move on to the next thing. But I would like to take just 1 minute, if you don't mind, and ask Tim to come back in from the back office and remind everybody about the giveaway, because we're going to do that at the end of the show here. So Tim, can you chat about that real quick?
Hey, thanks for having me back. I'll make this real quick. So yeah, enter the giveaway. We're going to throw it in the link or in the chat. We've noticed that a lot of you have already entered, which is awesome. It's really easy to do. So go ahead and put in your email address. This will help us contact you. And yes, we will be announcing the winners. We're going to be giving away 5 masks tonight. So stick around if you can. We'll announce them live on air, and we're really excited to do that. So you put in your information, check the box, submit your entry. You're entered, but then there's these bonus entries that you can interact with as well. And look, I can do it without even touching my mouse. It enters for me. So that's the movie magic. Anyway, stick around. We are excited to announce the winners. We can't wait.
Put the picture back up of the mask. I don't know if you've caught this, Vanessa and Linda, but the mask has the Profiling Evil logo on it, and hopefully they're going to put that picture back up here. And next to the Profiling Evil logo, it says "Speak No Evil." So it's a great mask. We hope everybody's trying to get that if you don't win it. So Chris has come up with some great ideas. He's creeped me out over the baby in the front seat of the car. You two have been just so fun to talk to. I want to just see if there's anything else you want to say about Suzanne before we make a little segue. Linda, anything else?
She needs to come home. It's time for her to come home.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what you were saying earlier, if anyone has information or is afraid, now's the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot listen to, now this is going to show my age, I cannot listen to Karen Carpenter sing "I'll Be Home for Christmas" and think of a Suzanne Morphew, or get this, ladies, the 104,000 missing people every single year in our country that never come home. Not the 880,000 that are reported missing each year, but the 104,000 people every single year in just the United States alone that disappear and are never heard from again. This is an astronomical thing. We worry about COVID numbers and homicide numbers and narcotic overdoses. Holy cow. I want to say it again. This is bigger than the city I live in. 104,000 people every single year that disappear off of the map in the United States alone. Now imagine when we think about a third world country or a developing country where there is no accountability for many things, what those numbers must look like. We had the folks from Underground Railroad on a few weeks ago talking about human trafficking and the challenges there. This is a big, big problem. And I want to go back to law enforcement that's not taking advantage of public crowdsourced intelligence, in my opinion, is missing the boat. Chris?
Missing the boat. Yeah, no, I agree 100%, Michael. And, you know, with good friends like this and, you know, 100,000 other people, 200,000 other people, somebody knows something or somebody's going to find something. And as it comes forward, you know, it doesn't matter to us. It doesn't have to be profiling evil. It can be any one of us and can be anybody. Just get the information to law enforcement and let's get her home. I am surprised, though, that they have radios in wagons back when you were.
No, we use smoke signals, and sometimes, we found pieces of broken beer bottles that we could use to reflect signals across the tundra. So
I'm just curious. So let's get we had a question up. So
let's do some questions.
Let's let them answer these questions. I think the question was, will they prosecute without a body? I think that was the question, right? Vanessa, what do you think? Not to put you on the spot, just kind of throwing it out there.
Well, I would think, I mean, hopefully I'm correct. I would think if they could build a strong enough case, then absolutely. But I think you're going to have to work harder to build a stronger case, obviously. But yeah, hopefully I'm correct on that.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no wrong answer.
No, there isn't. And maybe as a teaching moment, there are 4 forms of evidence that law enforcement relies on every single case. Eyewitness testimony, which we love to have, and that can really be challenged and be a problem. We have forensic or physical evidence. We have circumstantial evidence, and that's where we really want to concentrate with, for instance, on both of these cases that we've talked about tonight. It takes an incredible amount of courage, and with circumstantial, I want to just pause and come back to that, Linda, because I have a question for you. And then we have behavioral evidence that we are really relying a lot on when we look at these kinds of cases. So, Linda, circumstantial evidence, we haven't seen that kind of movement or anything that would suggest that there is enough confidence to move forward circumstantially on the Morphew case, but they're getting a brand new DA. What do you think about that?
I heard that. Her name's Linda. I remember her name's Linda. I can't remember her last name right now. And she is a lawyer and former cop, right? She's a former police officer.
Yep. Yeah.
And so I think that's a good thing. I haven't did too much diving into her or her background. However, I did hear about her. I know there's some new stuff here. Maybe fresh eyes. We'll take a look. Maybe there'll be some interesting things coming forward. That's all. That's all I think.
Perfect. Linda, there's a question for you. Would you grab that one?
Oh,
And
what advice?
both of you. Yep.
What advice do you lovely ladies have for a little channel trying to build their channel and touch the hearts of their listeners? Whew. You know what? Just keep going. Just keep going and do the things that speak to you on the videos. Don't compromise yourself and just keep going. And consistency is key when it comes to building a channel. And it's pretty much it. And you do you. And then that way, everything else will follow.
Vanessa, what would you have to say to this Moms, Jeans, and Crime Scenes, who we actually had as a guest a few weeks ago on our Halloween series, and we really are having fun watching her as she grows. What is your advice?
The advice Linda gave is perfect. And I would say for me, it's patience. It's not going to happen overnight. And that's hard because especially if you're very, motivated and you want it so bad, it can be frustrating if you stall out a little bit or you're watching numbers not go up like you want, or you're trying to reach more people. So patience. And then like Linda said, the biggest thing I think right now is being yourself and just be you. And the people that like you for you and all your quirks will come to you. But the minute you try to change that or be fake, and there's so many right now, people just want someone who's real and honest. It's really that simple. That'd be my advice.
Yeah. Well, Vanessa, since you're chatting, how about this from Ruth Hartkers? Do you ever feel scared to share some of the information you've received?
Yes, I would say yes, absolutely. But I think the longer you do this, having good people to go to for advice is important. But absolutely. So, I mean, the stuff we're dealing with is serious stuff. And some of the information that we're passed is scary. Absolutely. I've had that experience a few times now, I would say.
Okay. Linda?
I agree. It is, some of it is scary. I think also when we're creating a video and we know what we know, that makes it hard too. And it's important. Integrity is important. It's important not to put out information just to get the views and just to, you got to be selective. You got to be careful. And that's it. I mean, it's scary. It's conflicting sometimes because you're getting this information. And sometimes I've had instances where I've come forward with the information, odd reaction from authorities. That happens. But I think if people can just trust the process and just get over that and just, no matter what, I said this in the Suzanne Morphew case, I said, if you're somebody who maybe talked to her on social media and you're afraid because you think, oh, maybe the authorities can just figure it out. And that way, like, I don't have to say anything. I don't have to do anything. The bottom line is Suzanne needs to come home. You want Suzanne to come home. So what's the right thing to do? Is to share that information, even if it's scary. And so, yeah, I mean, kind of 3 answers in one, but you know me.
No, those are great answers. Those are great answers. Yeah, we love it.
Vicky Dodd asks, I think for everyone, have you heard of the Morgan Violi case? Anyone? So, Vicky, I hope that you would consider the evidence room. And again, folks, it is a tough thing trying to figure out what cases with the little amount of time we each have to try to get up. And we just really appreciate it. We try to do it, but we go through every email in the evidence room, and many of those we forward on to law enforcement just because it makes better sense. So know that it's just not falling into a black hole. Chris, you want to take this one from Judy?
Thank you all for everything you do. God bless you. Yep.
Isn't that the best?
Thank you so much. Yeah. So we've got one here. Any news about the shirt adventure with a purpose found in the Susan Morphew case? I don't think there is any news on that from my taking a look at it from a distance. My experience tells me not a go. We would have seen a lot more physical evidence on that. I'm not saying it hasn't been eliminated, but if I was the detective called to take a look at that and I looked down and I saw that on the ground, I would say, yep, it's a blue shirt, probably the same size, but I'm not going to connect it to anything or anybody yet, personally. Send it to the lab, let them process it. If they pull DNA off of it and tell me it's Suzanne's, then I'm going to go, it's Suzanne's. Until that, it's a blue shirt on a rock sitting out in the sun. And that's the way the cops are looking at it. You can bet, put money on it. Right. And that's why it's frustrating, because everybody's like, we found a blue shirt, okay. Yeah, great. Now let's send it to the lab and find out who it belongs to. It's that simple, and that's where everybody takes a deep breath. Sarge says, what case is the most difficult, emotionally invested for you each? And this is, I think, to all 4 of us. So we'll start with our guest here tonight. Vanessa, we'll start with you. How about that?
This is probably not a surprise, but for me, the Watts case. Part of the reason is it happened a couple miles from me. So everything in Discovery is, places I go to eat, places I drive by, I'm right there in the community. So I think that, plus also we got so deep into it and so invested in it. That one has definitely been for me.
Linda?
For me, it's the Gannon Stout case. That one was one of the first few that I started. It was from the get-go. As soon as he was missing, I just hit the ground and kept working. This is the one where I'd wake up in the middle of the night and be solving, like, where could he be? What can I put together? Literally waking up, like going through everything that I know and putting it down. But further than that, it's just like, I call him my little buddy. Like, this was it. So I'll never stop in his case, and anybody on that I cover or that. And like Vanessa says, it's that case too that Vanessa mentioned, before I even had a channel, I had to actually stop because I was wrecked over that.
Yep.
And same with this. I mean, Gannon Stoke, he's my little buddy. And just to have a little touch on who he was, he used to be the one who used to grab his shovel and go over to the neighbor's house and go shovel their walks, and always telling a joke and, you know, making people and kids laugh and just playful and love games and love Sonic the Hedgehog. And he just, he has my heart, that one. Yeah. And they all do, but Gannon affected me the most.
Yeah, those are both difficult cases for sure. And you, Linda, you caught some heat from our buddy, right? I mean, you don't even like using his name anymore, if I remember right. Mr. CW or whatever his name was. Yeah, from the very beginning.
CW. Yeah. I stay far away from that case.
Well,
yeah,
it'd be cool to go interview him. Maybe Mike and I could arrange that one day. We'll see what happens down the road here.
Oh my gosh, you should.
Yeah, we'll see. You never know.
Chris, tell me about yours.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a case that's been with me for a very long time. And I solved it, but the problem was there was some belief system in the jury that let the guy walk. And it was a baby. It was a shaking baby. And, I'm not going to name his name or anything, but he was a little guy. And it was a father who just, took his child. And that's been with me for a very long time. But kid cases are always the hardest, and it's really weird because Mike and I, that's how we met back in, 20 something, whatever it was. It was a long time when Mike was in the wagons. And then, we actually met over a serial killer who was victimizing, killing children. And my expertise is in, guys who prey on children. And, but that's one of those things. And Michael was working him from a different angle, on some other things. And that's how our cross path or that's how our paths cross. And, here we are today on YouTube, with people that are a lot smarter than us. That's for sure. You two down there, Mike, what was yours? You're next. Cause I think I know, but I'm going to,
like Chris, I mean, we talked earlier today, how do you pick the case? When you're a case agent, you have dozens of homicides that you're handling or missing persons but some rise to the surface. And I think Chris even just recently, Chris and I have been interviewing a couple of serial killers and a couple of serial sexual predators who are in prison still. And you never get past the emotion of managing a serial killer case. Or a serial sexual predator. But for me, I mean, it was the Zion Society and the little kids and the lives that were wrecked. And I mean, I go back and I think the other day on Dr. Phil, he said you had 4,000 counts of rape of children. And the victims said that is just a really conservative number. I mean, it just becomes phenomenal when you think about the complexity of it. But so that would be mine, Chris.
And by the way, his book coming out, Deceived, is about that case. And by the way, that's therapy. Okay. I love this guy over here like my brother, but that's therapy. Okay. Yeah. And if you haven't had a chance to take a look and kind of catch some of the stuff, that's what Michael's talking about. But we'll find out. I mean, we've got Mike and I we're honored to be part of some other groups. One of them is the Cold Case Foundation, and this week I'm going to a place, and we're going to be training about the 1,500 missing Native American women on the reservations. I've been selected as an instructor, so we're going to go down there and do some things, and we'll be reporting from that. Probably. If the internet's right, like Thursday night or something, we'll see.
Yeah. And this isn't your first time teaching for Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Indigenous people, Chris. I mean, this is a great opportunity, but folks, this is an area that we'll talk about soon on Profiling Evil, and that is the impact of homicides on the Indigenous population, and we see it in every country's Indigenous population, sadly. So. Hey, shamelessly, do you mind if I pull up and just show everybody the Deceived book and invite you all if you're interested? We actually are going to go to press in about 2 weeks, so we're hoping earlier than the first of the year, but by January 1, this new book will come out, and we're sure excited about it. And thanks. If you're interested in ordering, you can order online. I don't know if we have any left under the 500, but the first 500 I was going to sign too. So, but anyway, so
the other thing. I'm sorry. When you girls write your books, we're going to write the foreword for you. Okay, that's right.
Deal.
Okay, that's a deal. Okay.
What if they don't want us to?
No, but then they're smart. They'll figure it out in about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Forget it. Okay, Michael, go ahead.
Us drawn with crayons on the forward might be troubling for him.
Yeah. Okay.
We feel
Ask your
so
question
fortunate.
to Linda.
We feel so fortunate that you were here with us tonight. I don't know if we have any questions left. We've been kind of pulling some of them to the side, but Vanessa, what would you say to the true crime community tonight?
Just in general, I mean, those are my people. I mean, it's amazing to have a place to go. We always joke about that. I've liked true crime since I was little, and I mean 4 or 5. I like dark things, scary movies, stuff like that. So it's a great place. We do a lot of good. It's nice to have people just like you. You can talk about true crime every day, all day, and keep doing what you're doing, because I do think that they're making a difference. I really do.
That's awesome. Linda?
I think that, first off, I say this all the time, that the true crime community are very intelligent, very, very intelligent. And the most important thing, though, I feel, is do this together. Do this together. Spread love, because there's enough, Lord knows there's enough hate, and there's enough crazy crime and crazy things. And you guys know I've been talking about this forever. Imagine what we can do and pull together the Vanessas of the world and the Chris and Mikes of the world and me and others who want to do good in this world, who want to contribute to this world. Do it together to stop the segregation and the, angry this and angry that. It does no one any good. Just bring what you can, contribute, give love. And you were talking earlier, Mike, about dark. Where there's dark, there's also light, right? And we're bringing that forward. So the community knows this. They're so smart. And that's all I have to say to them. Just keep going with love and bring the truth out. And I think that we will be the wave of the future to bridge that gap. And more people, maybe they won't steal a child. Maybe they'll think twice at least to steal a child, because they know, Mike and Chris is going to look at it. Vanessa's going to tell the story. I'm going to get the patterns, and maybe they'll think twice.
That is awesome. Linda, what do you got coming down the pike that you want people to start planning to see?
Whew. Some cold cases, some Canadian cases. I talk a little bit behind the scenes about DNA. I am fascinated by DNA and crime solving put together. I am fascinated. I do genealogy, like I was talking earlier tonight before the show. But I think somehow that's going to come to play somehow. I know in my heart there's something there. And that's what I have so far. I don't know, and hopefully
That's
some
awesome. Well, if you do the Picton brothers, let us know, because we did a little work on that years ago. So we would
wow.
we would love to help there. Vanessa, what are you working on now? I want to tell everyone I'm going to be coming on Vanessa's show on December 2nd, Vanessa, to talk about my new book. So thank you so much for that invitation.
Oh, absolutely. We're looking forward to it. So I'm excited for you to come on.
So what do you have coming down the pike?
Well, we're trying to get more special guests on, like yourself. Our channel likes to do a lot of the forensic stuff. We've had some search and rescue experts on, a forensic expert on. So we're trying to do more stuff like that. But other than that, I'm just hard at work at the documentaries. That's about it. I'm working on the one I talked about earlier with Taylor. And that's pretty much all I'll be doing, I think, for the next couple months.
Holy cow, Chris, how did we luck out tonight?
That is the wagon story.
Well,
That simple.
I hope everybody knows how lucky I am to have Chris on. And you have commented, and you are absolutely right. We don't always agree on things, but we certainly
have a philosophy. We do have a philosophy. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story about a man who gets to a canyon, and he looks down into the canyon, and he gets this impression: I need to go into this canyon. And as he gets into the canyon, he sees this very large rock, and he has this further impression that says, push the rock. And he says within inside himself, man, I'm exhausted. Okay, I walked down this canyon. I'm in the middle of the canyon. Now I need to push this rock. Are you serious? And he hears this voice say, yes, push the rock. And as he pushes the rock, a year goes by, 2 years goes by, 3 years go by, and eventually he's exhausted. And he says, I don't know what to do. What do I do now? And then he has a further vision. And somebody says, let me see your arms. And he shows him these biceps. He says, let me see your back. And he shows that he's been cut on the back. And he says, you see that divot? He said, yes. And he puts his foot there. He says, grab that. And he grabs that. Next thing you know what, he's on top of the rock. And he says, oh my goodness, I did it. And he then hears, well done, thy good and faithful servant. I asked you to push. I did not tell you to move the rock. That is my job. That's what Mike and I have. We have learned how to push, and then sometimes realize you're not going to move it, but something else and somebody else potentially will. And that's why we do what we do. And I'm grateful that you two are doing what you do. And hopefully we can bring some peace to some of these families. Michael?
Thanks a lot, Chris. Vanessa, Linda, thank you so much. I did get a note, Linda, to pass on to you that our understanding in the States is that every case in Canada is a cold case. So I don't know what that means, but I thought I'd pass it on because the back office wanted it. And I'd like to invite Tim back to do the drawing. Let's give away some stuff, and we'll call it a night. By the way, if you haven't seen Tim's channel, Tim, what's your channel?
It's Profiling Evil. Just subscribe to. Be sure to subscribe to Profiling Evil. Oh man, it's just my name, Tim Sessions. But we're here to give stuff away. That's why I'm here. But anyway, let's do that. Let's jump right into it. We are going to pop your name up on the screen, And we have your contact information, so we'll be letting you know how to redeem the prize. So first and foremost, we have Kathy Thronberg. Congratulations.
Hey.
Don't go anywhere. We have four more to go. As
Good
Chris
job,
would say.
Kathy. Thanks for signing up.
All right. Next, we have Brooke Freeman. Congratulations, Brooke. 3 more to go. Don't go anywhere. As Chris would say, don't go anywhere.
This is for Canada.
All right. Amanda Spite, or I hope I said that right.
Awesome. Congratulations,
Great.
Amanda.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job, Tim. Good job, Tim.
All right. The next one, Linda Holavas. I hope I said that one right.
Fantastic. Thanks, Linda.
And we noticed she became a new member today, too. So I want to
Oh,
shout out.
sweet.
Whoa.
And zero correlation. It was all at random. I want to throw that out there. And last but not least, we'll let you guys.
Andy Dillon.
Andy Dillon.
Andy Snapping Crayons.
Is this Andy Snapping Crayons?
Are you
Sure is.
serious?
She's probably
well
been
deserved.
on your channels too, Vanessa.
Andy.
Yeah.
This is great.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Tim. I am so appreciative of you two joining us tonight, and we wish you the very best. We continue to watch you, and thank you for the example you are in the YouTube community. It is really fun. Now, I just got a note here. Let's see.
Don't blow her cover is what it says.
I don't
That wasn't
understand
her. That wasn't her.
Oh, I don't know what's going on, but thank you so much, Linda of It's a Crime. Thank you. You, from the moment we started this channel, you were one of those that we reached out to for advice. Thank you so much for all that you've done to help us galump along. And Vanessa, it has been so fun in the last 2 months getting to know you better and to watch you and Teresa in action. Thank you. We hope everybody, if you haven't subscribed to their channels, you will do so. And we thank you for taking time with us tonight. Have a great evening.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.